In 1977, a young female cop from a small California coastal town vanished without a trace during her routine night patrol. Everyone assumed she had simply abandoned her duties and run away. Until 13 years later, a fisherman spots something shocking. At the base of a remote cliff, her rusted patrol car emerging from the waves with evidence inside that exposed a horrifying truth about that night. The morning fog hung thick over Pacifica, California, that March day in 1990, clinging to the coastal cliffs like a shroud. Sergeant Jack Monroe had just poured his second cup of coffee at home when his radio crackled to life. Unit 23, this is dispatch. We have a 1054 at Devil's Slide. Fisherman reports a possible police vehicle at the base of the cliff requesting immediate response. Jack's hand froze mid-reach for his toast. Devil's Slide, the treacherous stretch of Highway 1 where the Pacific Ocean met sheer rock faces. He'd driven that route countless times in his 20 years on the force. But something about this call made his chest tighten. Dispatch. This is Unit 23. Monroe responding, ETA 10 minutes. He grabbed his jacket and headed for his patrol car, the coffee forgotten on the counter. As he pulled out of his driveway, his radio came alive again. Jacket's Marie Detective Maria Estrada's voice was tight with urgency. I'm already en route. Helicopter's been dispatched. Meet me at the northern observation point. Copy. That what are we looking at? Fisherman says it's definitely one of ours. Old model, heavily damaged Jack. She paused. Dispatch ran a preliminary check on missing patrol vehicles from the area. There's only one unaccounted for in the past 20 years. Jack's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. He didn't need her to say, name Laura, his wife missing for 13 years. Her patrol car vanished without a trace on a routine night shift in 1977. The drive to Devil's Slide took exactly 9 minutes and 37 seconds. Jack knew because he counted every one of them, his mind racing through memories. He'd tried to bury Laura in her crisp blue uniform, her badge gleaming as she'd kissed him goodbye that last evening. The forced smile when she'd promised to be careful. The empty bed that had waited for her return. The observation point was already crowded with patrol cars when he arrived, their red and blue lights painting the fog in surreal colors. Yellow tape cordoned off the cliff edge where a cluster of officers peered down at the rocky shore below. Jack spotted Marie immediately, her dark hair pulled back in its characteristic bun, her detective shield prominent on her belt. Jack. She turned as he approached her, brown eyes full of sympathy. You should prepare yourself, the coroner's been called. He nodded curtly and pushed through to the cliff edge below. Barely visible through the morning haze lay the twisted remains of a patrol car. Even from this height, he could see the rust that had eaten through the metal like cancer. The way the roof had caved in from years of pressure and pounding. Waves, the distinctive whoop-whoop of helicopter rotors, announced the arrival of the rescue team. Jack watched as the Coast Guard chopper descended its crew, preparing the heavy cables that would lift the wreck. The fisherman who'd made the discovery stood nearby, a weathered man in his 60s, wearing faded overalls and rubber boots. You found it? Jack asked. The man nodded, clearly shaken. Been fishing these waters for 30 years. That car wasn't there last week. I can tell you that the storm 2 days. Aga must have dislodged it from wherever it was hiding when the sun hit that chrome bumper this morning. He shook his head. I knew right away. It wasn't right. You did good calling it in, Marie said, joining them. Can you tell us exactly what you saw? As the fisherman recounted his discovery. Jack watched the helicopter crew work. They rappelled down the cliff face with practiced efficiency, attaching heavy cables to the vehicle's frame. The process was painstaking. One wrong move could send evidence tumbling into the Pacific. Lifting now, the radio announced. The gathered officers fell silent as the cables went taut, slowly, impossibly. The rusted hulk began to rise. Water poured from its broken windows like tears, and chunks of rust and debris rained down on the rocks below. Jack found himself holding his breath as the car cleared the cliff edge and was guided to a flat area. They'd cleared up close. The devastation was even worse. The patrol car, a 1975 Plymouth Fury, the same model Laura had driven, was barely recognizable. The ocean had not been kind. Rust had eaten through entire sections of the body and barnacles crusted the undercarriage like armor. The forensics team moved in immediately, photographing every angle before beginning their examination. Jack forced himself to stand back to let them work, even as every instinct screamed at him to tear the doors open and search for answers. License plate still partially readable. One of the texts called out, "Running it now." Marie's hand found Jack's shoulder. "You don't have to be here for this." "Yes, I do." The tech with the laptop looked up, his face grave, VIN matches. "This is Officer Laura Monroe's patrol vehicle." The words hit Jack like a physical blow, even though he'd known and felt it in his bones from the moment he'd heard the call. 13 years of not knowing, of wondering if she'd simply left him, left the job, left everything behind. Now here was proof that something terrible had happened that night. Opening the driver's door, the lead forensic tech announced. He pulled, and the door came away entirely. Its hinges, rusted through the interior, was a cave of shadows and decay. The seats rotted down to springs, the dashboard a mass of corrosion. No remains visible, the tech reported, and Jack released a breath. He didn't know he'd been holding, whether it was relief or disappointment. He couldn't say. The search continued methodically. Personal effects emerged, like artifacts from a tomb. A flashlight, its batteries long. Since leaked and corroded acetation book, the pages fused into a solid mass, and then from beneath the driver's seat, a brass shell casing, .40 caliber. The tech said, holding it up, same as department issue. Blood. Another tech called from the rear of the vehicle. Degraded but definitely blood under the back seat. And he popped the trunk, playing his flashlight over the rusted interior. Significant traces in the trunk. A new voice cut through the scene. "What the hell is going on here?" Richard Hensley, the department supervisor, strode through the crime scene tape like he owned it, which Jack reflected. He essentially did. Hensley had been Laura's supervisor too. Back in '77 now, in his late 50s, he'd grown thick around the middle, but still carried himself with the authority of a man used to being obeyed. "Richard," Marie said, "we've confirmed it's Laura Monroe's vehicle." Hensley's face went through several expressions before settling on official concern. "Christ, after all this time." He looked at Jack. "You shouldn't be here." "I'm fine." "Blood and brass," the forensic lead summarized. "No dash cam recovered. Probably destroyed by salt water, but this is definitely a crime scene." Hensley rubbed his jaw. "Now let's not jump to conclusions. That blood could be anyone's for all we know. Laura might have." He paused, choosing his word carefully. "She might have been involved in something that went wrong. Shot someone, panicked, ditched the car. That's not Laura," Jack said flatly. "She wouldn't. 13 years is a long time. Jack, people aren't always who we think they are." Hensley's tone was sympathetic but firm. "We investigate this properly, no assumptions." Maurice stepped in before Jack could respond. "We'll need DNA testing on the blood samples. It's new technology, expensive, but do it." Hensley said, "This is a potential homicide. We spare no expense." He looked around the scene. "Mia will be all over this. We need a statement." As if summoned by his words, the first news van appeared on the horizon, followed quickly by two more. Within minutes, reporters were setting up just beyond the police tape, their cameras focused on the rusted patrol car Jack found himself in. Front of the cameras, before he'd fully processed what was happening, the reporters thrust microphones at him like weapons. "Sergeant Monroe, how does it feel to finally have answers? About your wife's disappearance, is it true Officer Monroe was under investigation before she vanished? Do you believe she was murdered?" Jack straightened his shoulders and looked directly into the nearest camera officer. Laura Monroe was a dedicated member of this department. She'd just been promoted to patrol sergeant when she disappeared. In 1977, she was hard-working, honest, and committed to serving this community. We will investigate this discovery thoroughly and professionally, and we will find out What happened to Herniture has finally surrendered this evidence to us, and we won't waste the opportunity. More questions flew at him, but Marie gently guided him away from the cameras. Behind them, the forensics team continued their methodical work. Each piece of evidence carefully catalogued and preserved. "You did good," Marie said as they reached their vehicles. "Go home, Jack, take some time." Hensley appeared at Jack's elbow. "She's right. You're too close to this. Take a few days, let us handle the investigation. I can work this case." "No, you can't." Hensley's tone broke no argument. "You're emotionally involved. Your judgment's compromised. That's not an insult." "It's a fact," Marie nodded reluctantly. "I'll handle it personally. Work with the team. I'll keep you updated every step of the way, Jack. You can trust me." Jack looked between them, then back at the rusted shell of Laura's patrol car. After 13 years, answers were finally within reach, but they were right. He was too close, too raw. "I have copies of the original case files at home," he said finally. "I'll review them. See if there's anything we missed, that's fine." Hensley said, visibly relieved. "Just don't go playing detective on your own." Marie walked Jack to his patrol car. "I'll head back to the station, pull all the records, the logbooks from 77, duty rosters, everything. We'll figure this out. Someone killed her. Marie, the